Imagining the American dream, people often think of opportunity, freedom, and prosperity. But behind the dazzling glory, an unavoidable reality is the tax burden. From the tropical beaches of Hawaii to the skyscrapers of New York. In some places in the United States, people are forced to pay a high price to with a large portion of personal income. Based on a study by Wallet Hub published by Visual Capitalist in April 2025. People have compiled statistics on the states being taxed the most. These figures do not just reflect fiscal policy, but also raises the question of the cost of living in leading economic and cultural centers. So, does the financial burden from the US government truly affect the quality of life of its citizens or not? Let's take just 5 minutes to learn about it right now. The 15th position belongs to Ohio with 9.4%. 5 years in the American Midwest, a region famous for its vast, rolling cornfields and bustling industrial cities. Ohio has a population of 11,883,300 people and is the 7th most populous state in the country. In terms of the economy, this place has a GDP of $927.74 billion United States dollars and a per capita income of $78. However, the tax burden combined with the cost of living forces many residents to budget carefully to make ends meet. In Ohio, specifically for personal income tax, a progressive tax system with 3 brackets has been implemented, including a 0% rate for income below 2.75% for income from $26,051 to $100,000 United States dollars and 3.5% for income over $100,000. The state also provides a standard deduction of $2,400 for single taxpayers. Help reduce taxable income before applying the above rates. Property taxes also contribute to the tax burden, averaging about 1.31% of the property's value. It is calculated based on the assessed value, which is 35% of the property's market, and the tax rate may vary depending on the district or locality. For example, a house with a market value of $100,000 would be assessed at $35,000, and property tax would be applied to this amount. Additionally, the sales tax in Ohio has a base rate of 5.75%, but it can be higher depending on the county, with some places applying a tax rate of up to 8%. In 14th place is Utah, with 9.5%. The land of majestic karst mountains and a close-knit community of 3,500 to 3,600 people created one of the states with the fastest population growth rates in the country. Utah's economy is also thriving, with its GDP in 2024 reaching $300.9 billion, a 4.5% increase. Along with that, the per capita GDP here reaches up to $85,883. Regarding personal income tax, Utah applies a flat rate of 4.55% to all. This figure has decreased by 4.65% compared to 2023 and is expected to drop to 4.5% in 2025. Although it is not too high compared to other states. But when combined with other taxes, the overall tax burden remains significant. Among them, property tax average is about 0.55% of the property value, lower than the national average. Therefore, a homeowner only needs to pay about $2,745 in taxes for a house valued at $500,000, while the basic sales tax is 4.85%. That figure can be higher depending on the county and city. At Anta it is 8.85%, and Salt Lake is at 7.25%. These numbers show that Utah does not tax any one particular area too harshly, and allocate evenly to ensure a stable recovery. They use the funds to invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure development. Especially in the Salt Lake City area, where many technology businesses are concentrated.
Ranked 13 is Massachusetts with 9.6%.
Massachusetts is one of the oldest states in the United States with a population of 7,136,171 people. The state's economy is thriving, with a GDP of $780.6 billion and a per capita GDP of $109,396. Regarding personal income tax, Massachusetts applies a flat 5% tax rate to most income levels. However, since 2023, this state has applied an additional 4% surtax on the portion of income, exceeding $1 million United States dollars, raising the total tax rate to 9%.
Property taxes here average
0.97% of the property value and also vary by location. Specifically, the property tax in Kingston is approximately $12.97 per $1,000, and the average price there is $633,409 for a home. resulting in an average tax bill of $8,215 per year. Similarly, other towns are also comparable, typically ranging from $9 to $10 for every 1,000 United States dollars. Additionally, the sales tax in Massachusetts is 6.25% and applies to most goods and services. The government does not allow local areas to impose additional taxes, whether in cities. Here, tax revenue is used to heavily invest in education, healthcare, and technology turn this state into a hub for advanced industries. Compared to Utah, which applies a similar flat income tax but has lighter property taxes, Massachusetts imposes higher property taxes, making it difficult for homeowners.
Next is New Mexico with 9.6%. Although the overall tax burden is similar, this state ranks higher than Massachusetts.
Because the 9.6% figure is only the overall average of many. At the same time, when ranking, people do not only look at the percentage figures but also consider the structure and taxation methods. New Mexico has a population of 2,130,256 people with a GDP of $140.54 billion and a per capita income of $65,973, lower than the national average of $85,798. The state's tax system is structured with a progressive income tax ranging from 1.7% to 5.9%. Applicable to different income levels, particularly, the highest rate of 5.9% applies to single individual income over $210,000 or $315,000 for married individual. They also apply a comprehensive income tax instead of the traditional sales tax, with a basic tax rate of 5.13%, but the additional local tax ranges from 0 to nearly 4%, making the combined tax rate between 5.13% and 9.1%. Depending on the locality and can cause the cost of living to increase. Regarding property taxes, New Mexico has a relatively low rate with an effective tax of 0.61% of property value. That is $3,675 per year. But due to rapidly increasing property values in some areas, residents may face higher property taxes in the future. Notably, this place has implemented many reforms aimed at reducing the burden on low and middle income people. For example, in 2023, the state passed a tax reform package that included an increase, providing tax credits for the purchase of electric vehicles and related equipment as well as support for home energy storage systems. The 11th position belongs to Minnesota with 9.7%. With a population of 5,793,151 people, this state is not only, but also a stable and diverse economy, from agriculture to technology. Minnesota's GDP is estimated at $585.5 billion, and its GDP per capita is $86,400. Nevertheless, this state's personal income tax rate may be a factor to consider for those who intend to settle long-term. Minnesota applies a progressive personal income tax system, with the highest tax rate reaching 9.85%. This means that high-income earners, especially those working in high-salary sectors such as technology and finance, will have to contribute a large portion of their income to the state budget. Property taxes here are also quite high, averaging about 1.05%, which is $5,025.
While this tax rate may vary depending on the district or city,
in areas like Minneapolis, where property values are high, residents face a relatively heavy property tax rate of 1.16%,
and Ramsey County is 1.24%.
Regarding sales tax, Minnesota imposes a rate of 6.88%, though other areas within the state may add additional sales tax and significantly increase the overall rate. For example, in Minneapolis within Hennepin County, the local tax has approximately 0%, the city tax is 0.5%, and the special tax is up to 1.5%. Thereby bringing the total sales tax to approximately 9.875%. However, this is not a concerning factor for the public, as this tax rate is quite common in the North American region.
Next is Connecticut with 9.9%.
Modestly nestled in the New England region and adjacent to New York, Connecticut has a population of 3,675,000. The state's GDP is estimated to reach $365.7 billion, with a per capita GDP of up to $99,508. This figure places Connecticut among the top groups for per capita income across the United States. Regarding personal income tax, Connecticut applies a progressive tax system with rates ranging from 2% to 6.99%. High-income individuals, especially those working in New York or residing in Connecticut, Typically, personal income tax will be paid at $500,000 US, while the lowest, although not the highest in the country, when combined with the cost of living, it is enough to make many people consider moving away. Especially when neighboring states like New Hampshire do not levy a personal income tax. Together, the sales tax here is 6.35% because they do not have a policy applying local sales tax, while property taxes here are also quite steep, with an average rate ranging from 1.79% to 1.92%. They are among the highest, with the average home price in the state ranging from $298,200 to $397,000. Then each year residents have to spend nearly $6,390 to $8,550 just to heat their homes. In the planned Western Connecticut area, housing prices are even higher, with the average price reaching $625,400, and each resident faces $9,222 in property tax. As property values in some areas are rising rapidly, residents may face increased property taxes in the future. This is especially difficult for retirees or those living on a fixed income.
The ninth is Maryland with 10%.
This is a small state with an area of 32,133 square kilometers located on the Atlantic coast, with a population of approximately 6,263,220 people. Maryland has a diverse and developed economy, ranging from healthcare and tech. The state's total GDP reached over $542.77 billion, with a per capita income of up to $86,000. What makes Maryland stand out on the national tax map is its personal income tax. For this state, it applies a tax rate ranging from 2% to 5.75%, in which the highest rate is applied to single individuals with an income over $300,000 US. However, the noteworthy point is that if residents do not submit their tax deduction certificates, they will have to pay an additional, fluctuating from 2.25% to 3.2%. This could bring the total effective personal income tax rate to nearly 9%. When adding the basic 3% sales tax and service fees, the total tax will reach the threshold of 11%. Nevertheless, Maryland did not hit every. For example, this state does not tax basic groceries, prescription drugs, medical devices, and agricultural supplies. That somewhat alleviates the pressure for middle and low-income households. Property taxes here are quite reasonable, with an effective rate of around 0.9%. It can be seen that Maryland has implemented a tax policy with a relatively clear financial responsibility sharing mechanism. With a high standard of living, good infrastructure, and unstable services, many people are ready to accept high taxes as part of their cost of.
However, for those in the lower income groups, that sharing is not always equitable.
When they still have to bear a significant impact from indirect tax.
The 8th position is Rhode Island with 10.1%. The smallest state in the U.S. by area at 4,011 square kilometers, yet it is one of the places with the highest tax rates in the country.
With a total tax rate reaching 10.1%, this is a figure that makes many people carefully consider their daily, especially when the cost of living in the Northeast region is already. Despite its small size, Rhode Island's economy is nothing to scoff at. With a population of approximately 1,100,000, the state's GDP reached $82.49 billion, and the GDP per capita was approximately $74,100. This state applies 3 personal income tax brackets, including 3.75% for individuals with an income below $77,450, 4.75% for income from $77,450 to under $176,050. And the highest is 5.99% when above $176,050. It may not sound too high, but when you add the basic sales tax of 7%, one of the highest rates in the country, then the total tax that people have to pay annually is not light at all. When everyone, from interior furnishings to consumer services, all must bear this tax, making the perception of a costly life here. Regarding property taxes, Rhode Island also follows the general trend of the Northeast region, with an effective rate of 1.23%. With the average home price approaching $400,000 in many urban areas like Providence or Gouging, then it is normal for residents to pay nearly $5,000 in property tax each year. This places significant pressure on retirees or middle-income households who are trying to maintain stable.
7th place is Illinois with 10.2%.
The 6th most populous state in the U.S. with 12,710,158 people. It is not only prominent for the vibrant city of Chicago, but also serves as an economic powerhouse.
With an average per capita income of $89,456, many people assume life here must be easy. But in reality, people feel pressured by the operating tax systems.
Illinois applies a flat personal income tax rate of 4.95% for all income levels. However, the main bottleneck lies in property taxes. This state is renowned as one of the highest property tax locations nationwide, with an effective tax rate of up to 2.19% on an average property value of $123,000, meaning approximately $2,700 is paid annually,
particularly in Cook or Lake counties, including Chicago and its suburbs.
Very high property taxes combined with expensive real estate
make annual bills a burden for homeowners.
Moreover, the basic sales tax here ranges from 6.25% to 11% depending on the time. Some areas like cities and counties may impose additional sales taxes. For example, Chicago has a combined local sales tax rate of 3.2%, leading to a total sales tax rate of about 9.5% in most cases, while overlapping local taxes can push the rate above 11%.
Thus, Illinois residents not only bleed from property taxes,
but also lose more each time they shop, buy a car, or use basic services.
Sixth is New Jersey with 10.3%.
Dubbed the urban satellite of a city that never sleeps, it's famous for beautiful beaches and peaceful suburban neighborhoods. New Jersey has a population of 9,500,850.
Economically, it's one of the financial pillars of the region in the technology sector.
With a total GDP of $846.59 billion and a per capita figure of $89,107.
But due to the high cost of living, when taxes knock, residents' endurance is also stressed thin. The biggest issue in New Jersey is property tax.
It's the state with the highest real estate tax rate nationwide, with an average effective rate of up to 2%, meaning if you own a house worth $300,000, you must pay $6,690 annually in property tax. This makes many residents feel like they're paying for 9 houses they buy. Additionally, actual property tax rates vary by county, such as Burlington at 2.56%, Gloucester at 2.95%, and Camden at 3.27%. High taxes also affect homeowners and the competitiveness of businesses in the area. Income tax rates in New Jersey follow a tiered system, ranging from 1.4% to 10.75%. The highest rate applies to those earning over $1 billion annually. But most ordinary workers still pay from 3.5% to 6.37%, while the standard sales tax is 6.63%, relatively low compared to neighboring states. When combined, the overall burden is still not light.
Fifth place belongs to Maine with 10.6%. This is a peaceful state in the northeastern U.S., famous for pine forests,
fresh seafood, and coastal towns with a strong New England flavor. Maine currently has about 1,405,000 residents with an estimated GDP of $98.6, resulting in a per capita GDP of $70,184. Though not having the most developed economy, its tax rates are among the highest. And the main reason comes from the broad structure of the tax system, especially personal income tax and property tax. For personal income tax, Maine applies a tiered system of 3 levels, including 5.8% for income below $26,050. Second is 6.75% for income from $26,050 to under $61,600. And highest is 7.15% for individuals earning over $61,600.
With Maine's average income, many taxpayers fall into the second
or highest income groups, making the tax burden clear for ordinary workers. Alongside that, property tax rates are also not light, though not among the highest nationwide. Maine's average property tax rate is about 0.94%, with average home prices around $360,000 in many areas. Like Portland, Oregon, and Bangor, this leads to annual property tax bills of nearly $3,400.
It's enough to make residents think carefully when owning real estate.
Additionally, the sales tax here is 5.86%, which is much lower, but it is not enough to pull the overall tax rate down from the double-digit threshold.
Next is California with 11%.
The most populous state in the U.S. with 39,431,263 people is the leading force in technology. California is not only the largest economy in the United States, but if considered separately, it would rank 4th in the world, with a GDP reaching $4.103 trillion, and a per capita GDP also at a high level of 104.
But the cost of living is equally high.
What makes California most famous is its personal income tax. It is the state with the highest tax rate in the country, with a tiered system from 1% to 12.3% for almost everyone. Those with an income over $1 million per year will fall into the top tax bracket of 13.3%. What's noteworthy is that this place does not exempt pensions or investment income from taxes, unlike some. From then on, even those who have retired were drawn into the whirlwind of contributions. Property taxes in California are another relatively bright spot, with the average rate capped at 1, thanks to the regulation from Bill 13. However, the actual average rate varies by approximately 0.68% depending on. For example, taxes and additional assessments approved by local voters could potentially cause the overall tax rate to increase by more than. For example, Los Angeles County has a total tax rate of 1.16%, which includes a 1% base tax and a 0.16. Moreover, Bill 13 also caps the annual assessment increase at 2%. This helps make tax bills relatively predictable for long-term owners. In addition, California's statewide base sales tax rate is also not favorable, with a standard tax rate of 7.2. Many localities have added district taxes, pushing the combined sales tax rate up to 10.25% in some,
such as some areas of Los Angeles and San Francisco.
Particularly, President Trump is setting his sights on Hollywood as he threatens to impose list films produced entirely outside of the United States, with a proportion. This poses even more challenges for the residents of the state. Brand 3 belongs to Vermont with 11.5%. With an area of 24,923 square kilometers and nestled in the northeastern United States, Vermont is often associated with a peaceful, lush, and verdant image, with its maple forests. In addition, the population size is also quite modest, with 648,400, while the GDP estimate is $45.71 billion. GDP per capita is approximately $70,486. Although not an economically developed area, Vermont still has very high taxes. The reason stems from the combination of the highest personal income tax bracket in the country and relatively expensive property. Regarding personal income tax, Vermont applies a progressive tax system with 4 brackets ranging from 3.3. For those with an income over $242,000 per year, they will reach the highest tax rate of nearly 9%. What's notable is that Vermont does not have clear major tax breaks for retirees or investment income like some other states. That means whether you are working or retired, paying taxes remains an unavoidable part. The burden of property taxes is also a significant hardship when it ranks among the high. Accordingly, the average real estate tax rate reached 1.78%, while housing prices in Vermont are around $500,000. Therefore, the property tax and brokerage fees they have to pay each year amount to $8,900. Vermont's sales tax is 6%, with some cities applying an optional local sales tax of up to an additional 1%, leading to a combined tax rate of up to 7%. Additionally, there is, for other specific items such as fast food, it is 9%, or alcohol.
Second place is New York, with 13.6%. Known as the financial heart of America, this place stands out for its
the bustle of Wall Street or the dazzling lights of Times Square. New York also gathers a fairly large population, with 19,867,248 people and a complex and costly tax system, especially for those with. This state contributes $2.297 trillion to the national GDP, thereby raising the per capita GDP to $115,607. Personal income tax in New York is one of the main factors driving the overall tax burden higher. With a progressive income tax system of 9 tiers ranging from 4% to 10.9%, New York City residents must also pay local income taxes at rates of 3.078%, 3.762%, 3.8%, and a top rate of 3.88% on income over $50,000. Notably, high-income earners in New York City, making over $25 million per year, face an additional combined tax rate, pushing total taxes up to 14.8% in areas like Manhattan.
Property tax is also a heavy blow.
The average effective property tax rate here ranges from 0.68% to 1.18%, and the maximum annual increase is 2% for properties without a change in ownership. This figure is adjusted by Proposition 13, which caps the base property tax rate at 1% of assessed value, plus additional taxes approved by local voters, meaning if you own a $1,300,000 home, with a 1% rate applied, you would pay about $13,000 per year. Additionally, the sales tax rate reaches 7.25%, comprising a 6% state rate plus a mandatory 1.25% local rate applies. State, local jurisdictions impose district taxes ranging from about 0.1% to 3%, depending on the area. This pushes the combined sales tax rate even higher, so the combined sales tax rate could reach up to 10.25%.
The state with the highest tax burden is Hawaii at 13.9%. Dubbed a tourist paradise in the Pacific, it is not only famous for its stunning scenery but also has the highest tax burden in the U.S.
With a population of 1,446,146, Hawaii has a relatively small economy, with a GDP of $115.6 billion in 2024 and a per capita GDP of 79. Hawaii's tax system is progressive, ranging from 1.4% to 11%. Single filers earning under $9,600 are taxed at the lowest rate, while individuals earning over $325,000 face the highest rate. Additionally, the general excise tax is 4%. Local areas may have a surcharge from 0% to 0.5%, so the total sales tax ranges from 4% to 4.5%. In contrast, property tax averages only 0.27% of assessed value, the lowest in the nation. However, Hawaii uses a tiered system, so tax rates vary by district and property type. For example, in Honolulu County, residential property tax ranges from about $1.80 to $3.25 per $1,000 of assessed value. For owner-occupied homes, this equates to an effective tax rate of 0.1. For non-owner-occupied properties and vacation rentals, higher tax rates apply, often exceeding effective rates of 1% to 1.4%. For instance, in Hawaii County, residential properties valued at $2 million face $11.10 per $1,000, and amounts over $2 million are taxed at $13.60 per $1,000. Overall, the tax burden is not evenly distributed but heavily concentrated in states with high living costs, large populations, places with the highest total tax burdens in the U.S., such as Hawaii at 13.9%, New York at 13.6%, or California at 11.5%, share the commonality of imposing heavy taxes to fund costs. Additionally, the highest personal income taxes are in New York, California, Maryland, Oregon, and Hawaii, which apply progressive brackets for the nation's highest top rates. While property taxes, which directly affect homeowners and businesses, are particularly heavy in Vermont, New Jersey. As for sales taxes and special consumption taxes, states like Ohio, New Mexico, Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, and New York force residents to spend heavily with every purchase.